Okay, so let's start. Now, in the last lecture, it was just introduction about Selenium and installation of few things, right? Now today we will be starting off with the concept of object-oriented programming. So how we work with classes and how we create objects, right? So here, just a second. Now what we'll do is we'll create a new project, say not a new project, a new package here. So right click, new, and say package. I'll name the package as day2, and this is done. Now here in day2, what we would be doing is, first of all, let us just close the older things that we have. Remember something, we created a new class yesterday. The same way we will be creating a new class. So I'll create a new class and say I'll name the class as animal. Right? Now in this animal class, what we are going to have? See, we can have two things. Either we can say specify the main method directly and we can execute the things inside it, but that is not a mandatory thing. So what we would be doing is we would be specifying few things here, right? For example, say let's have number of legs, right? So now integer number of legs. Now do one thing, whenever you are creating new variables or you're creating functions, make sure that you're following some naming convention. For example, I'm following this camel casing, right? First character is always small and then every major character is capitals, right? So here number of legs equals to say nothing. So I don't want to specify anything. So I won't be assigning any value, just declaration here. So whenever we specify something and we don't assign a value, this means that declaration of that particular thing, right? It can be a variable, it can be anything else. Now here number of legs is created. Now the thing is, say next thing, say name of animal. So string name of animal, right? Now here what we can do is say we can specify the name of that animal as well. Now there are two things in this particular class, right? Number of legs and name of animal. So here we have two things. Now how would we be able to store data inside it? So let us just save this one, and here I'll create another class, right? Say the class name is test animal. Here this is done. So test animal is created. Now if you remember something, I don't have any main method here, but yes, I will be having a main method here in test animal. So main, then hit control space and it will be suggesting you something, main method, just use this. So here main method is here with us. Now the next thing, how would we be able to use the things inside animal class? There are few things that we have specified here, right? So see here, the thing is, just a second, we have animal class which has two things inside it. What are those things? Say number of legs, and second thing is say name of animal, right? Now we have a test class. Test class needs to access this particular class. Then how would we be able to do that? To access this animal class, what we have to do is that we need to create its object. Now what is the object? Object is something that allows access to the contents of the class, right? So whatever things are there inside the class, we can get access to that, right? It it is a medium that allows you to access this, right? Now, how to create an object? Creation of object is easy. Whatever is the class name, just create an object like this, new animal, right? So we can create an object like this. Let us just create the object. So here, new animal, right? So this is created. Now the thing is that we have created the object, but still we won't be able to work with it. Why? The reason is that we don't have any way to access this, right? Now to access this, what we need is we require something that is called as object reference, right? Now what is object reference? Object reference is a variable that contains the object address, right? So whenever the object is created, that variable contains that object address, right? So suppose this is the object we created, right? We need to access this particular object. So what we would be doing is we would be creating an object reference. Now how to create object reference? That is simple and easy. Whatever is the class name, right? The data type of that reference variable should be same. So animal, say variable name a equals to new animal. Now what is happening around here then? So the simplest thing is here what is happening is we created this new animal. New animal has to be allocated to A. Now A is something that will be allowing us to access new animal, right? So new animal is just an object, and this is just an object which we will be accessing with the help of A, right? How? Let us just see that. Now the moment I type A, right, and hit dot, now here I can see two things, name of animal and number of legs. So I am able to access two things from animal class now, right? I can access number of legs, and I can even change the values or assign the values as well. For example, the number of legs are 4, right? And say name of animal, right? So a dot name of animal. So what is this dot doing? Whenever you specify the object reference name, right, the variable, and then you hit the dot, what it does is it accesses that particular object. Now A is having this new animal, so what it is doing is it is finding the things inside new say animal, right? In animal class we have two things, number of legs and name of animal. So those two variables are have become accessible here, right? Now we have the number of legs specified. We can specify the name of animal as well. Say the name of animal is A. Now whenever you're specifying something in string, you need to mention that data inside quotes, right? This is done. We have added some data, right? Now can we access this data? Yes, we can access this data. How? The same way with the help of the object reference, right? So here system.out.println, and here I would be printing the data like this, a dot number of legs, right? And I can print a dot say name of animal, right? And I can concatenate things here as well. Say a plus some hard-coded text plus this, right? So here what am I trying to do? I'm just trying to print something. Say this animal has say this number plus say of say legs. That is better. Now what it would be doing is it would be printing A has 4 legs, right? Let us just try running this. Control F11 is the shortcut key that I'm using to run my code. This will work for you as well in case if you're using laptops. The shortcut may be used with the help of a function key, Fn key on your keyboard, right? Now here you can see that the output is A has 4 legs. This was about a single object. Now the question is, can we create multiple objects? Yes, we can create any number of objects we would want to. Now how would we be able to create them? The same way, what I'll do is I'll write the code like this, animal, and so animal b equals to new animal, right? Now what did I do here? I just created a new object and allocated that object to b, right? Very simple thing. The object is getting created at this particular point, which is being allocated to b. Now b is something that will be allowing us the access to this particular object. Let us see that. Now here b dot number of legs, right? Number of legs equals to say 4. Okay, it is something common. Next thing, name of animal. So b dot name of animal, right? Now it is equals to say b, right? A very simple information here. Now what if I want to print this information? The same thing, right? System.out.println, and we can print the information like this: b dot name of animal plus has plus say b dot number of legs plus say legs, right? Now this is done. Let us just try running this. Control F11, and you can see that it is printing the information b has 4 legs. How did it do? The thing is that whenever you create a new object, right? Notice this thing clearly now. So here, whenever you create a new object, say this is animal class, which has the 2 variables, number of legs, and the next variable is say name of animal, right? So name of animal. Here what happens? So the thing is, suppose I created 2 objects, right? I wrote new animal 2 times, right? And I allocated these values to something. Say I allocated it to b and this one to a, right? Now what is happening around here? So the thing is that the moment I created this thing, right, the object got created and the variables that we were having there, right, those things came here, right? What has happened? So this thing, just a second, yeah, this thing, it is not blocking any memory right now, right? It is just telling that there are these things. Now what happens the moment we create an object, the memory is getting allocated. For example, number of legs require 4 bytes, and say name of animal requires 16 bytes, right? So 16 plus 4, 20. Now memory won't be blocked here. Where the memory will be blocked? So 20 will be blocked here and 20 will be blocked here, right? It is not getting blocked here. So what is happening? Whenever you create a new object, what happens is the code reserves the memory for that particular object, right? Whatever say size of whatever is the size of that object, the memory will be blocked so that we can work on that, right? Now here this means that this a can have the values that it wants, b can have its own separate set of values. In the same way, we can create any number of objects we would want to. We can create c and we can create d, e, any number, right? What it will do is it will simply add up the memory being blocked. For example, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? 5 into 20, right? So it would be 100 bytes being blocked, right? Simply. Now let us just come back to the code and see for a few more, say, objects. What I'll do is I'll simply copy paste the code and I'll make some changes here. So what all changes we would be making? First of all, the object reference is C this time. So I need to update things here. C, 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 C and C. If I run this, you can see the same kind of output. A has 4 legs, B has 4 legs and C has 4 legs. That is something common. Now what is happening? All these three are blocking at their own memory, right? So here there are three things. And yeah, so there are three things now. We have C as well, right? So C equals to new animal. This is okay, right? Now here we can have their own values. Now the question is, can we play around with the objects? Yes, we can. How? See, the thing is, object is a, say, separate entity. We are just allocating them to the object references. Object references does not own the object, right? Object is something which is on its own. So here, if I do something, right? Notice this thing clearly now. If I do something over here, that is C equals to A, what will happen? Right? Let us just see. So here I will be printing this line again. Notice this thing, I'm just printing C again, right? But what will happen? Control F11. You can see that here it is printing the data from A. So what is happening? This object is having some information. So this is the object which is having the information, number of legs and say name of animal. A is not having the information. A is just containing the address of this particular object, right? Now what we did, A was having the address. What we did, we passed on that address to C as well. Okay, C can also use the same address. Now what happened to this particular object? It is discarded now, right? Now here, this particular object, C and A, both are sharing the same object. So this also means that if I make any changes in C, would they reflect in A? Let us just see that. So C dot name of animal equals to, say, C, right? I just changed something here. Now what if I try printing A, right? What if I try printing information for A? Let us just see. Control F11, and here you can see that now it is printing C has 4 legs. I can change any information here. I can provide the data that I would want to. Say AC has 4 legs would be printed now, right? So I made change in C and A got also changed. So how it happened? So the thing is here, just a second, say this was the object, right? And say this is A and this is C. Both are now pointing to the same object, right? So this means that whatever you do with C would be done in case of A as well, right? So whatever data is being retrieved, actually data is being stored here. So say number of legs right equals to 4 and say name of animal say equals to say AC, right? Both are accessing the same information now. This means that we can have any number of objects created and we can share the information according to our need. We can pass on the objects, we can play around with the objects, right? Now this is simple. Now the next thing, say uh, if you notice something, I'm specifying something common, right? Number of legs. I'm just considering right now that every animal has 4 legs, right? Now this is some information which is static, right? Which is not changing, right? Name of animal is changing, but number of legs is not changing, right? So are we doing something wrong here? Actually, yes. So if we consider that 4 bytes are being used, so every time we create a new object, 4 bytes will get wasted. Why? Because object will be blocking this say memory, right? Can we ask class to block this memory and not to waste the memory? Yes. So what will happen then? So here we have this particular class animal. Animal has two things: number of legs and name of animal, right? Number of legs is always static. It is not changing. This means that we can do something. We can tell the class that this is static. Now, if we specify this as static, what would happen? Instead of blocking the memory in the object, it will block the memory directly, and object will not be having access to this, right? So no object required, right? How? Let's see that. And the best thing is that with this case, the objects, say A, B, C, any object, they won't be having this particular variable with them as well, right? So let's see. Here, what I'll do is, in animal class, I'll specify something here, static, right? Now, what is static? Static is something this tells that the data that you're specifying won't change, right? Now, as I have saved this changed, immediately we come up with few problems here. We have few warnings, right? The static field cannot be accessed in a non-static way. Now, what is non-static? Non-static is something which has the value changing according to the object. Static is something whose value does not change with the object, right? So here, what we have is number of legs. Now to access number of legs, what we have to do? To access number of legs, we need to specify animal dot number of legs, right? Everywhere, wherever we are accessing it. So animal dot number of legs, and here as well, animal dot number of legs. So say here as well. See what is happening then. So the thing is that whenever you have a static data, you need to access it directly with the help of the class name dot the variable name or the function name, whatever thing you have to access, right? So here animal dot number of legs everywhere, and here this is done. I'll just comment out this code for a while. We don't need it, right? So control / and it will comment the code automatically. Now let us just try running this code. The output is same, but what is the difference? The code is optimized now. It is not using excessive memory, and instead of using say 4 3 12, right? So instead of using 12 bytes, it is simply using 4 bytes, right? So now we have saved some memory in this particular case. How? By just specifying the information as static, the information which is not changing, right? The information which is common across everywhere, right? Now here, this was about the variables. Does the static thing exist for methods as well? Yes. So let us just see that. Now here, what I'll do is, say, I'll just create a method, right? So here, move method, right? Public. Now what is public? Public is something which allows the say think the say variable or the method to be accessed outside the class without issues, right? By default, everything you specify is already public, right? So here if I specify the method name like this, say move, right? Now every animal moves according to it, right? So here every animal moves differently. So here you can see that now move is having a issue. What issue? The data, the return type needs to be specified, right? Now what is return type? Return type is something whatever the data this particular method returns. If it is not returning anything, then it should be void, right? So that it should not return any. We won't be returning anything here. Now void move has to have some information. Let us just print out something here for a while, right? Say animal is moving, right? Right here I'll just save this. Now I can call this method here. How I can call this method? This is simple. To call this method a dot move, here b dot move, and then in this case c dot move. So here this is done. Control F11, and you can see that animal is moving is getting printed. Now can I do something? Can I feed in the animal name inside this? Yes. See, the thing is by default it is non-static, so I can feed the animal name here, right? So here instead of specifying information directly animal is moving, what I'll do is I'll simply concatenate some information, right? Name of animal plus say is moving. Now let's see what happens. Now here we have three different objects. So the data that we are going to see is something like this. So control F11, A is moving, B is moving, and C is moving, right? Now this means that we are able to print the data, whatever data we have, we can access it. Now this means that all the variables inside this particular class are accessible inside this particular method. Now can we access the static information? Let's see that, right? So here plus has plus say number of legs, right? Plus and say animal has say 4 legs and is moving, right? So we have some information specified here. Let us just print this information now, right? But if you notice something, okay, I have made a mistake. I forgot to concatenate the information. Now this is done. Let us just try calling this particular method now. Control F11. A has 4 legs and is moving. I can comment out this particular line wherever I'm printing the information, say has this number of legs now, right? And we will get the information that we need. Control F11. Now here, what is happening? A method which is non-static, right, can access say non-static method can access static information as well, right? Now does this mean that a static method can access non-static information? Let us just see that. So here what we would be doing is I'll create another say method, right? So here say static method, right? So here void static void drink, right? Every animal drinks. So here we can specify some information. Let's see what happens. Maybe this will work, maybe this will not work. And here if you notice something, this is not working. So a non-static function or a method can access the static variables, but a static method or a function cannot access non-static variables. And this is the result here, right? You can see that we are not able to access name of animal, right? It is asking us to change the name of change the type of name of animal to static, or simply remove it. We can remove it. So here we can print the information that we would want to need. Say we would want to print, say animal is drinking water. I can print the information, but the thing is that I cannot access non-static say functions and variables inside a static function. Here let us just try calling this function now, right? So it would be called something like this here as animal dot notice something, we have a drink method. We cannot access it with the help of an object. We have to access it like this only, right? So animal dot drink, and for C as well. So we have done for every animal now, right? And for not for A, so animal dot drink. Control F11. And here you can see that animal is drinking water. So a very basic thing, and we are able to access the information. Now the next thing is constructors. What are constructors and how would we be able to access them? Now constructor is simply a function which is called whenever the object is created, right? This means that whenever we are initializing the object, so whenever we are writing this line, new animal, that function will be called at that particular point of time. Now how to create a constructor? Creation of constructor is very easy, right? How? Let us just see that. Here I can create a constructor like this, say animal, right? And here if I hit control space, you can see that it is also suggesting me this public animal, right? We don't have to specify the return type here. Okay, now to specify some information here, we can specify the information here, right? Say I want to print welcome. I can do that, system.out.println, and just print welcome. Now what would happen, right? Control save, and here now I'll run this code. Notice something now, whenever a new object is getting created, welcome is getting printed. Now can I create multiple objects here? Yes, let us just see that. So here say new animal, right? So this is how we create the object, right? So what I'll do is I'll create few objects. So here if I run this code, what would happen? The number of objects we created, the number of times welcome is getting printed here, right? This means that every time we are creating an object, this default method is being called, right? Next thing, so we created a constructor, but what if we want to pass on the data to the constructor? While initializing the class, we would want to specify that yes, this is the information we want to specify. Can we do that? Yes. Here, how? Say animal, say here what I'll do is I'll create the constructor here. Now if you notice something, I'm hitting control space and it is not suggesting me anything. Why? Because the constructor is already created. But can we create more constructors? Yes, we can create any number of constructors, but how would we be able to differentiate them? We would be able to differentiate them with the number of parameters these constructors have, right? Here I can specify a parameter that the last constructor is not having. Say I want to receive the name of animal, right? So string say name, right? And I can print the name here directly, system.out.println, say name, right? So this is done. Now if I run this new animal directly, it will be printing welcome. But if I change something here, instead of specifying, say keeping it empty, I specify something here, say ABC, control F11, you can see that instead of printing welcome, it is printing ABC because this is the information that we wanted to print. Now we can use this information, right? We can use this information inside the class to work with, right? How? Let us just see that. Suppose I would like to specify the name here an animal. I can do that. How? Let us just see that. Here name of animal equals to name. So what did I do? I allocated the value which was received by me to the say variable inside the class. So here as I'm using this particular name from I'm specifying the name from this particular say constructor, right? If I run this, you would see that ABC has 4 legs and is moving. Even without specifying the information here in this line, it is printing the information. Now what is this type of constructor called? So this type of constructor is called say parameterized constructor. And we have 2 constructors. So what is this? So this concept is called say method overloading. And to be specific, in this case, we are overloading 2 constructors. So we can overload any number of constructors we can have, right? The only difference that should be here is the number of parameters a constructor is receiving and the type of parameters a constructor is receiving, right? Suppose there are 2 constructors with the same number of parameters, but the different information they are receiving, we can work with that as well, right? So this is how you work with constructors. Now how this thing is useful in case of Selenium, let us just see that. Now what we would be doing is we would be moving on to Selenium. So here I'll create a new class, say Selenium intro, right? Now to work with Selenium, what we do, right? First of all, let us just have the main method. Now here, what we do, we make use of few things. I wrote a line yesterday and that line was this, right? New Chrome driver. So what was happening? So here, there is a class in Selenium, right? If you notice these reference libraries, somewhere here inside this org.openkey.selenium, right? So org.openkey.selenium, we have the say class named as Chrome browser, right? So org.openkey.selenium.chrome, we have the Chrome driver class, right? So what happened? We created the object of this particular class, right? How? New Chrome driver, right? So by writing this, we can create the class, right? Now to work with driver, we need to allocate this class to a object reference. Now what is the data type of the object reference? It is same as the class name. So Chrome driver, say Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. Now this has been created and we can work with it, right? Now here, what is happening in this particular case? Chrome driver is getting initialized with this particular say call, right? And that is getting allocated to Chrome driver here, right? Now this means that this C driver, let me just name this as C driver, right? C driver will be say allowing me to have access to the Chrome driver here, right? So let us just try doing few things here. Now in C driver, we can have few methods. If I hit dot, you can see that there are some methods that we can use. We have add virtual authenticator, we have close equals, execute async script, execute CDP. There are a lot of things that we can do. And one of those things is driver.get. Now get is a method that allows you to open a web page in the browser, right? So we can open any page. Say I'd like to go to say qtpselenium.com. So https www.qtpselenium.com, right? And I can do this. Control F11. What will happen? The code will start interacting with the driver installed in our system, and it will open the browser, and the browser will open the page qtpselenium.com. So what all things happened in the backend, right? So let us just have a look over those things. So here, just a second. In the meantime, let us just go to the official website of Selenium. Right, so that is selenium.dev. Just a second, guys. Now the question is, we created the class animal and we knew that what methods are there inside it, what say variables are there inside it, and how would we be able to work with them. But in case of Selenium, we don't have access to those methods and say things inside, right? Because if I try to open it, we'll get to see this particular thing which tells me class file editor source is not found. We cannot edit the source, we cannot see the source, right? The code will be executed, but we will not be able to see this. Don't worry. What we would be doing is we would be going to this particular page, right, in the download section, and that page is known as API docs. So for Java, we will be going to the API docs where we would be looking up for something that is Chrome driver, right? Here, Chrome driver should be somewhere here in the left section, and here we have capabilities, we have this Chrome options. So Chrome driver is here. Click on this and the page will open showing you the options and things for Chrome driver, right? Now in Chrome driver, if you scroll down, right, these are the constructors we have. So we are using this particular constructor. Chrome driver creates a new Chrome driver using the default server configuration. There are some other types of constructors as well that we would be learning later on, right? By default, we would be using the default constructor, which does not receive any data. Now moving on, what all methods we have? So we have a lot of methods. We have get local storage, get session, get touch, location, set file detector, set location, set network connection, and a lot of other say methods, right? So you can see those methods here. You can see the way you can use those methods here, right? And here, see, these are the list of methods that we can use. A lot of methods are here. One of the methods that we would be using is navigate, that we have already used as well, right? So navigate would be GHIGKLMN. Yeah, so this is navigate, right? Now here we can do other things as well. We can close the browser. How? By simply using the method quit. So here what we can do is, once the page is open, right, I can print some information from the page, system.out.println, and here I can get the information, say C driver dot. Now what information we can get? So Selenium people have categorized the methods in the form like this. Get. Now what all get methods are there? We can get the cast issue message, we can get the cast sinks, we can get the current URL, we can get the current page source, right? We can get the page title. Let us just get the page title. Now the return type of page title is string. Notice it here right now. String org.openkey.selenium.remote.webdriver.getTitle, right? So here Chrome driver is providing us the get title, right? And the data type is string. So here we can print it, and I can close the browser after the work is done. So C driver dot quit. And in the ending, whenever we are say done with this thing, we will be seeing that the browser is closed. Control F11. You can see something now. The browser will open, the page will open, and immediately once the page is loaded, the browser will close, right? And we have this information printed here, right? Now this was about the Google Chrome. So there are other browsers as well. Let us just see that. Now the next browser is, say, Internet Explorer browser. I'll show you how we can configure this Internet Explorer browser. So here there are few things for Internet Explorer, but before working with Internet Explorer, let us just install Firefox as well. So get firefox.com. In the meantime, it will be installing, so we can, till then we can work with Internet Explorer. And here download is started. Okay, so it is installing. Now about the Internet Explorer. Let us just open this. So there are few things to work with Internet Explorer. What are those things? Let us just see, say jot them down. The driver is not provided by Microsoft, guys. For Internet Explorer, the driver is provided by Selenium, guys, directly, right? And this is not working. Just a second, guys. Okay, so here we have few things that we have to keep in mind whenever we are working with Internet Explorer. First thing is zoom level should always be 100%, right? Now zoom at what location? Zoom at two different places, right? Inside the browser and in your screen as well, right? Now let me just show you both of these places. So let us just close this one and maximize this browser instance. Here, how to get the screen zoom level, right? It is simple. What we have to do is that just click here in this particular button and go to zoom. Make sure that it is at 100%, right? Second thing, now in new systems, we have another issue. In high density displays like mine, right? What happens is that if you go to display settings, you get to see some information. You get to see something here. Right now I have lowered down the resolution. So here you can see that there may be some change. Change the size of text, apps and other items, and here by default in Full HD displays it is selected as 125% or 150%. Make sure that you set it to 100% here as well. You will be getting to see a small icons, but for working with the Internet Explorer this needs to be done, right? Now this is done. Next thing, the major setting for Internet Explorer. Without this setting you won't be able to work with it. Now what is that setting? Click here on this particular button, settings button, go to Internet Options. Here in Internet Options, move to the Security tab. In Security tab, there is some information. Enable protected mode. Uncheck this. Lower this down to medium. Go to local intranet. Uncheck enable protected mode. Go to trusted sites. Lower it down to low. Uncheck enable protected mode, and in restricted sites as well uncheck say enable protected mode, and you cannot move this here, but make sure that enable protected mode is disabled everywhere. Click on OK. Click on OK. You're done. Close Internet Explorer now. Close all tabs. So this setting is done. Now let us just see what else we need. For working with Internet Explorer, we need the drivers as well. Going back to the download page of Selenium, right? Selenium dev.downloads, scroll down, and in the browsers section you would find Internet Explorer. So it is showing us some configuration here. Don't go here, scroll up to the top, and here in the top section you can see that there is a file section named as Internet Explorer driver server, right? Here you have to download the file according to your system. 32-bit for say 32-bit say version of Windows. I'm using 64-bit version of Windows, so I'll be using this one, right? Download this file. Here this has been downloaded. Now where we have to keep it? Remember something, we created a folder named as web drivers, right? And we added the path to the say environment variable path, right? We have to keep this file on the same location. So in essentials, in WebDriver, we have this file Chrome driver. Parallelly, I'll be pasting this particular file, that is IE driver server. No other configuration is required if we do this, right? But if we don't do this, we have to create few configurations, right? So here this is done. Now say going back to the code, now what has to be done here? So instead of specifying say Chrome driver C driver equals to this, what I'll do is I'll simply comment out this particular part of code, these 4 lines, and I'll specify another set of lines now. Say Internet Explorer driver, right? IE driver equals to say new Internet Explorer driver, right? We can open the page, we can get the information, and we can quit it the same way. So IE driver dot navigate, right? So here we can have the navigate method as well, but right now I will be using this get method, right? And the URL. So here the URL is this https www.qtpselenium.com, right? Why am I not specifying the URL directly? Say qtpselenium.com. Why am I specifying the whole thing? The thing is that it does not allow us to specify the URL like this. Selenium requires the completely qualified URL here, right? Now the completely qualified URL is this. Now if you are getting confused, what is the completely qualified URL for the website you are using, right? So go to the website, say I'm using qtpselenium.com. I just typed qtpselenium.com. Click here on the URL once the page is open, and click on say hit Control C. Go back to the code, remove this and hit Control V, right? You can see that the whole URL got copied, right? This is the completely qualified URL that we can use. So browser is opened, page is opened, we need to get the information from the page, system.out.println, right? And what information we would be printing, the same information, IE driver dot get title. So we have got the title, we can quit the browser now. So IE driver dot quit. Control F11. Let's see what's happening around here this time. And you can see that instead of opening Google Chrome, this time it opened Internet Explorer browser and it opened the website and then it exited as well, right? So this is how we can deal with Internet Explorer. Now in the same way, we can deal with Firefox browser as well. So here Control/, I'll just comment out this part of code. Now for Firefox browser, you can see that Firefox browser is installed. We can deal with it directly. Here for Firefox browser, what needs to be done? So there is a class for Firefox driver, right? Say f driver equals to new Firefox driver. We can work with it directly. Here, the page that we would want to open, I'll just replicate the things here. That would be a better option. So here, everywhere where I'm specifying IE driver, I'll just change it to F driver. So here, everything is done. Now let's see what happens. If you notice something, it is causing us trouble. java.lang.illegal state exception, right? The path to the driver executable is not specified, right? And the path should be specified. Now there are two ways of specifying the path. One way we have already learned, which does not require any configuration. What if you have downloaded the driver in a separate location? Let us just download the driver first. So here, the driver can be downloaded from this section, the browser section, where we have Firefox in the first. Go to documentation. There are a lot of versions. Simply go to Gecko driver releases, download the latest release. Now for dealing with Firefox browser, there is a issue. I'll tell you about the issue, don't worry. First of all, download the file according to your operating system. They provide separate files for Windows, 32-bit and 64-bit. So make sure that you're downloading the file according to your system. Now, what is the issue with Firefox? There are few things that need to be kept in mind. Firefox update should be disabled. The problem with Firefox update, the thing is, Firefox people don't provide the drivers on time. Drivers are being developed by the companies itself, the browser companies itself. Selenium does not create drivers. Selenium has created the driver for only and only Internet Explorer, nothing else, right? Even for Edge, Microsoft is providing the driver itself. Selenium people have not created the driver, right? So there is only exception for Internet Explorer. All the drivers are provided by this the browser companies itself. And the problem with Firefox people is that they update the browser, but they don't update the driver on time, right? Make sure that the updates in Firefox browser are disabled. How? It is simple. Go to options in this hamburger menu. Not now, I don't want it to be my default browser, I don't like it. So click on this hamburger menu. Now move to options. Inside options, scroll to the bottom, right? Not to the bottom. Where is that update tab now? They moved it, right? Let us just search for it. Update. Best. Firefox updates, right? Right now I have the version 80.0.1. Simply do one thing. Choose this option. Check for updates, but let me choose to install them. Secondly, you uncheck this use background service to install updates. What is the benefit? Even if it has downloaded the update, even if it is forcing you to update the browser, you have that option of canceling the update. But in case if you have not set these settings, right, both of these settings need to be done. In case if you have not done both of these settings, you're in trouble. In case if your browser gets updated, then you have to look for the new say WebDriver file, or even you have to look for the older say browser executable as well, right? So here this is done. Now we have downloaded the driver, right? Let us just see where it is. So Control J, my driver was downloaded. Yeah, Gecko driver is downloaded. So this is my Gecko driver. Now instead of keeping it in the usual location, right, what if I keep it somewhere else? Say in Essentials, I forgot to put it inside WebDriver and I put it here. Now would I be able to open the browser? Let's see that. Control F11, and if we notice something, browser is not opening. So can we explicitly tell the code that the executable is at this particular location? Yes, we can do that. How? Let us see that. So if we remember something, we are making use of a class named as system, right? System is a static class that allows us having a lot of functionalities. So system dot, now there is a method inside this named as set property, right? Not properties, property. Now this method allows us to specify something explicitly, right? Now what property we have to set? Here is something that they are asking. They are asking us to set the property for webdriver.jco.driver system property, right? Simply copy this from here and paste it here inside the quotes. Make sure that you're specifying it inside the quotes. Next thing, the path of that particular file. What is the path of that file? The path is here, right? A essentials, then jcodriver.exe. Go back and paste this path. By default, Eclipse latest version will say use double backslashes automatically, because single backslash is something else, right? So there are some say things that you need to keep in mind. You need to escape this backslash by using a single backslash again. It acts as a escape character, right, in case of regular expressions. Now the resolution to this is either you can say use single forward slash for paths, or you can use double backslashes. Both will work without any issues, right? So here I'm using single forward slash. You can use double backslashes as well. Control F11, and if you notice something, just by specifying this line, the browser is opening and we would be able to see the things that were being done in, say, Chrome and Internet Explorer as well, right? So now we are able to do the things, but we are getting to see something in red. What is this? These are not the errors. Do not get confused these with errors. These are just the logs provided by the Firefox driver, that is Gecko driver, right? So this is done. Now for other browsers, we can specify the same way, right? Instead of Gecko driver, it should be chrome.driver for, say, Google Chrome, and it for this Opera browser, or sorry, Internet Explorer, it should be webdriver.ie.driver. In case if you don't know this particular part, don't worry. Just omit this line, run the code. If you have the executable specified in the environment variable, it will be picked up automatically. Otherwise, it will be telling you that what needs to be specified, right? So this was for today's lecture. If you have any queries, you can feel free to ask.